Good morning to you all. My name is Kath. I'm software trainer for NMR. Welcome along to the Herd Companion webinar today, which is looking at breeding and genomics. I'm just talking slowly, just watching people come in. So I'll just take it nice and steady and then we can make a start. But if this is your first one, you're very, very welcome. A bit of housekeeping. There is a chat function and a QA panel as well. I've never worked out what the difference between the two is really, but you can use either to write in a question as we go through. I tend to leave those two at the end and then we can go through them, or if you want to raise your hand and ask a question at the end, again, absolutely feel free to do so. It is being recorded, so we will send this out to anyone that registered but couldn't make it today, and then it allows you to watch it back as well. And we post everything we do on our NMR YouTube channel, so you can also view all sorts of videos in there. Right, we're going to make a start, I think. So I will share my screen into Herd Companion. Lovely. So what we're going to be looking at is the breeding and fertility section, mainly with all the milk recording information that you've got, allowing you to rank your herd, compare to the national picture by breed, look at what your PLI is doing, and then you've got some actual interaction that you can do with the animal evaluation screen. So this encompasses the three areas up here on the left hand side, and collectively these are known as Ingenious. So if you ever hear this name here, whoops, if you ever hear that name bandied around, that's what this bit is. So it's a part of the Herd Companion site, all included in your milk recording program as it were. So yeah, let's go on and see what we've got here. So herd status loads in a PLI value for your cows. Now a lot of this, there's different bits of text at the bottom, so if you're not sure quite what you're looking at, just have a little read and it will tell you. Some bits refer to the whole herd, cows and heifers, which you'll see as we go through. So this particular figure here, average PLI, as it says, is just cows at this stage. And then what we're able to do is break that down into its component parts, these ones here, and as well as that, we've got then a sort of a benchmarking already where you can see where you feature compared to the national results. So the 4 segments highlighted here for fertility tell me that they are in the top 25% for fertility, less so perhaps for udder health, shown here to the bottom 25%. So it gives you an idea of which bits are, taking priority, and then allows you to hone in on those breeding traits to get, a bit more up on the charts, as it were, for those. Alongside, we've got then a breakdown of reliability. Now this is always an interesting graph, and I must credit Hartbury University, who allow us to use their data for demonstration purposes such as today. It's a real live herd, so it gives us a good flavour of what a typical herd looks like. Anybody can you look at this incidentally. This is our demo herd on Herd Companion, so if you want to have a sort of comparison to what they're doing, then yeah, feel free to have a browse. So the benchmark here, this red line, gives an indication of what reliability would be like based on age for non-genomically tested cows. And also, just to re-emphasise, and I'll probably say this several times, but yeah, this is all from milk recording data at this point, so no genomic testing included. But you can see where they have done genomic testing, your reliability shoots up. So all of these younger animals have had some tests done, and then we drop that back down to your older cows in your herd as you go on. So it illustrates that value of it straight away. And again, compared to a sort of a benchmark on that one. So that's your herd status, that's where you're at now. And then we can link to the next step, genetic progress, going through here, and it takes us on quite a nice journey if you do it in this order as well. So for this one, we've got even more sections here. So genetic trends, quite straightforward really. A PLI graph, or again its component parts, so you can pick and choose what you want to see. Birth date going along here, so the youngest animals are on the right-hand side. And what we want to see then is our trend going the right direction? So you would expect that as you, improve your breeding traits, you've got then an improvement in PLI for your younger generation. And the easiest way to do that, because it's not always clear when you're looking at graphs like this, if we just tick the second box, it pops in a trend line. And straight away you can see, yep, that's on the rise. So as the younger animals come in, we are improving PLI all the time. So that's all good. If you wanted to see, so like on the fertility index, maybe we weren't so high on the national figure. You can just get an idea of, general within herd improvements there as well. So actually still on the incline. And equally, pick and choose so you can have a good old play with this one and get the exact graphs that you want to see. So all looking good so far. So that's how we're doing within herd based on age. As a national comparison, farmers always love a bit of benchmarking. Where do we sit compared to top 25%, or even actually percentile? So these are all now split into 10% increments. Another pie chart, donut, call it what you will. This is exactly the same as the front one. It's just split into those 10 segments rather than 4. So again, same key over here. And it always starts off Holstein standard cows. So just because it's, first on the list, absolutely not always the case. Not everything is black and white, absolutely. So you can pick and choose your breed. We've got a good selection in here of most dairy breeds, I would hope. So you can then choose whichever fits your herd best, really. Having some discussions about this recently, I did some training with field staff. If you've got a clear split between breeds, so for example, here we've got Holsteins. This box here tells you how many cows are in that pool, so 128 Holstein cows. And then the yellow box is where you sit nationally for those. And this all gets updated as the AHDB, genetic evaluation run is done. So that will affect these figures. And then we can choose maybe heifers instead. And then you get a nice refresh. So that shows you there. So as I was saying, if you've got different breeds within your herd, so not talking about crossbreeds at this stage, but if you've got some Holsteins, you might have some brown Swiss, for example, which I think Heartbreed do. Let's just see. No, none of those. It might just be heifers then. I didn't practice this one, as you can see. No, I've totally gone wrong there. I think it's literally 2 or 3 cows actually. But if you've got different breeds, you can then use this to see, what your other breed averages look like again compared to the national picture. So let me put that back as it was. But yeah, split by heifers and cow ages, or just all cows on there. Okay, then we want to maybe drill down a bit further so we can see where we sit compared to others. Which areas again do we need to improve on? So we've got cell counts a bit further down here perhaps. What's the spread like within our herd? So averages all very well. We know it's 153, but it's a huge range potentially within the herd. So coming into the spread graph, literally, as it suggests, it gives you an idea of range within the herd, as I say. So PLI firstly in its entirety, again, have a read of the text if you need to. So it's quite a wide-ranging one here. If I hover the mouse over, we've got one animal there down at -250 all the way to, I've got my teams in the way, up to 600. And then you've got a sort of typical bell-shaped curve here, so you can see where your trends lie. Also, we've got the option again to drill down. Some of these ranges are quite small, so there's our fertility one, and things like maintenance, even tighter in some cases. So it gives you an idea of the average, but also the range, as I say. Now, grouping wise, that will come into play in the next step. If you get to this graph and you've never looked at it before, the very first, it's been around a while, mind, but the very first time you go into here, nothing will have been set up in the corresponding next screen. So if there's nothing in this graph, don't panic, just go into the animal evaluation which we are coming on to now anyway. I'll explain all this in a second. Just click save before you do anything, and that kind of triggers the genetic progress one, and then you can go back into there and that spread graph will be populated like so. Okay, you only have to do that once and then it's there forevermore essentially. But it's surprising, yeah, how many people haven't actually looked at this on their own Herd Companion login. So do have a look next time you go in. Right, so if you have been in here before, you may see 3 different colours on this pie chart. Now I've set this up for 2 specifically, but what we have here is the ability to place your herd into up to three, so it could be 2, up to 3 different breeding groups that you want to do different things with, based on PLI, or again its component parts. So you can pick and choose. I'm just going to stick with PLI on mine for now, but you could equally tick, you know, fertility I want to concentrate on, and maybe the cell count one, which we were seeing was a lower sort of national level. So this will change accordingly. And for the very first time that you go in, you usually end up with a pie chart looking like this, which is your herd split exactly 3 ways. So it will automatically assign, in this case we're just slightly off, but yeah, 33% of the herd into a theorized breeding group. Now when this was first built, the idea of sex semen was quite novel. So we had created 3 groups to maybe have a green group. Group number 1 could be put to sexed. Your middle group, the amber colour, could be everything else, conventional semen, and then your red group could be beef. So that was kind of the premise back in the day. Things have moved on significantly since then. So according to AHDB, I think it's about 87% of straws now are already to sexed anyway. And the beef side of that is also increasing. So it's no longer necessarily a 3-way split, but you can do it however you like. So what we did at the start of this plot when we first came in, I had a red and green split exactly in half. So it might be nowadays we want, you know, the top half of our herd into sexed, or maybe not half, maybe, you know, 20%, whatever it is, and then the rest something else, or straight into the beef sector. However you want to play it, talk to your breeding advisor, see what works for you. But you can choose. So this is the beauty of this section. So firstly, which animals do we want to use this for? And that is in here. It's quite disguised as an actual drop down, but animals selected, I've got 223 out of a possible 223. So this is my entire herd now, cows and heifers. If I click on that little drop down there, you can then filter out just young stock, just cows, the whole lot, or if you want to do some without any genomic testing so far, you can pick and choose and just untick, and then you can see your revised total. You can also choose by breed. So again, with the 2-way split you might have in your herd there. So choose your animals first. Then we come on to the sliders. So this whole section here is called sliders. Important to remember because we have to do certain things in a certain way here to get full use of it. So again, if I hover the mouse over, you can just see the percentage of the herd currently selected. We've got a few animals unsorted. We'll come on to that in a second. So I've got 53 animals in my red group in theory. These sliders can be moved. So it will start off as a default position. And also to explain what these figures are, first time you see this, there's a lot going on. So -253 is actually our lowest PLI animal in the herd. And if you remember back on our genetic progress, and we had a spread going on, that was the -253 animal down there. The highest animal is up at 600 something. So if we go back to here, that will all make sense now. There we go, back on my 2-way split. So we've got -253 within the range of our herd. As it currently sits, 125 is then the next jump between red. So these colours are slightly changing. Red, slider, yellow and green. So the top green group currently is 286 to 589. So you can put these wherever you like. To get that two-way split, we can drag the sliders along. So now we've got 3 there. Let me see if I can do that again. Now what you might find, it's quite tricky to be precise on these. There we go. But if you put one on top of the other, more or less, can't quite do it now, you can get exactly 2 colours. If you use the arrow keys on your keyboard, once you've selected a slider, you can then move up and down. See if I go the other way. And you'll see this figure here. You watch that one, that changes. So you can be really precise. I've got 2 together now. I did this perfectly yesterday. It's not having it now. Yeah, so if you need a particularly, 250 is my absolute cutoff, or however you want to do it. I think I'll leave it like that for now anyway. So you can see then that the range between them, I've got very few animals in the yellow group now. It's pretty much down to hardly anybody. So manipulate your sliders exactly how you want them, your cutoffs for each breeding group. Once you've done that, any changes at all that you've made here, apply slider changes to grid. So this is slider changes. Just tap that button. It won't be obvious that anything has happened particularly. So grid refers to this bit down here, whereby we are actually identifying who the cows are, and they are in PLI descending order. So our top heifer, 6073, is the top PLI animal at 589. And then again, you've got her component parts here. So this grid works exactly the same as any grid on Herd Companion. You can change the sort order just by clicking on the heading there. You can use a filter. So if you want to find a particular animal, you can just type her in and then it finds it. It is split into pages, 10 cows at a time. So that's where this bit, let me come up a bit, this bit here comes in. If you want a list, in one great big long list, you can just choose all rather than, scrolling through 23 odd pages. Okay, so sorting and filtering and even grouping if you needed to. Let's put that back there. So the point of this grid, in a sense, is to override our PLI settings. So we've defined our breeding groups. We can now see what that means in real terms. And it might be individually that you want to move a cow out of one group into another for whatever reason. So despite the fact that she is a high PLI cow, 6224, something like yonis may come into play here because it isn't factored necessarily, interesting correlation though perhaps, but it's not factored in this grid. So we could say, look, 6224, I'm going to put her to beef because she is a Yoni's cow. So something along those lines, you can actually adjust the data there and go through every cow if you need to. So having made some changes here, I'm just going to do it a bit drastically just to illustrate it. If I then apply grid changes to pie chart, watch the pie chart ever so slightly, and it just moves a fraction because now those cows have been put into that red group over and above our slider selection. So you can have a good old play with all of this and go back in and try it again. Once you're happy with your settings, do save the selection. So as with everything in life, save your work as you go. And that just keeps all that set as it is on there. Then we go to animal summary. Nothing else has happened. That's good. Let's try that again. Animal summary. Oh gosh, okay. We'll do a bit of a refresh here. This is not going to look so good. Right, I'm going to have to go into demo now. Animal summary, right, that's all gone to pot, but you get the idea. So what we've got here, what I made earlier, is now a sum total of cows in each group. So we've got 108 cows in group 1. This has actually settled nicely for me. The rest are in group 3. So I've given up with my group 2. I just want those 2 groups, nice and easy. Averages of each of those groups. And we've got some animals in no group at all. So those are worth noting. From a milk recording perspective, we want to hear about those cows and see why they're not in a group. Are they in the wrong evaluation group entirely? Is there something missing, maybe a dam or a sire or a breed that's gone awry somewhere? Just worth noting those, and we can help with that. If there's anything not quite right, give us a call as to why we've got no group animals. We can certainly sort that for you. So the table at the bottom then lists your cows. So these are in number order. Again, similar grid functionality with that proposed genetic group listed. So if I sort by group, there we go, I've got my sort of top heifers here. We can identify anybody that's already been genomically tested with a G here. Or if it's a heifer, it might well have an estimated one as well. So you can use your filters. All of these white boxes are filters as well. Or just look at the whole herd. And to identify the no group animals, as I say, give us a shout. Let us sort that for you if need be. But if I put in no group, that shows me who those 6 cows are, and then you can go and investigate if you want to. So with that, let's take that out again. I can export that table. So saving your information, again, save as you go. We've got a nice export option here. Pop it into a spreadsheet or into a PDF, and then you've got that saved. So if somebody else logs in as you, or with your under your herd, I should say, then you've got that data saved. If they end up tweaking something, you can still see what you've done. That will also, somebody in the lobby, don't know why that's happened there. That will also put in your breeding report. So if I go up to iReports, cows to serve, we've then got a new genetic group added into here, or refreshed if you've made some changes. So that is when, send this to your breeding advisor, let them have a look at it and decide, what the sires or the breeding protocols are going to be for the next season. So that grouping, it's temporary. As long as it's on her companion and you don't change it or save it again, then those cows will stay in those sort of temporary groups, as it were. It doesn't impact or interfere with any management groups that you might have. So like this one here, we do actually have a couple of management groups. Those are entirely separate. They are created on Thor, the milk recording program. So yeah, they're two distinguishable parts, I should say. So that won't interfere there. Okay, the other bit I wanted to show you, also on the breeding and fertility menu, is the AHDB herd genetic report. Now for that one, I just have to do something that I prepared earlier here as well, hoping this is going to work. So there's an awful lot of blurb here. Just scroll down to the bottom and then you can open the herd genetic report on a new tab. Can't do it for the demo herd, but I can go into here. So literally click on that button and you'll be into this screen. Before you get to this screen, I'll say I've got lots of herds on my login, so I couldn't do it for you, but you will be able to choose your herd. If you've got more than one herd, you can pick out which one, firstly. Then you'll be shown if there are different breeds within the herd, which breed group you want to go into, either PLI or SCI or ACI. So you've got the choice of your autumn block or your spring block as well. So clicking on either one of those and you end up into this screen where you've got a breakdown of numbers of animals by age category and then some information about those for PTAs. So there is a full herd report here. There we go. Lots of information. So to make it a bit easier, you can actually filter. So in the top right corner, we've got a filter option. Hoping you can see that, and Teams isn't blocking anything. So we can have a look at a particular component part, PTA, and see, for example, milk. We've got a range here then from the full value there. So if you wanted to look at anything in the sort of bottom half, I suppose, or whatever it is, we can say change that to 250. There we go. And you'll see your slider filters out any animals above 250. So I can concentrate on a particular segment of the herd if I need to from that one, and your animal view will then adjust accordingly. So it's very similar filtering that you might do online elsewhere when you're shopping, that kind of thing. So that's one thing you can do there. We can also show or hide columns. So as I say, great big long table, it might be that you just want to concentrate on the PLI values. You perhaps don't need the birth date necessarily. So just untick wherever it is you don't need to see at this stage, and then your table shrinks accordingly. So it just gives you a bit of more of a focus on that one. I'm going to really go to town here. Let's get rid of those. Okay, and then we view the table again. And with that in mind, again, you can sort on these ones, highlight a particular cow, save a selected row if you need to. But for the whole lot, we can just go up to the top and download that as a spreadsheet, and then you've got it elsewhere if you need to, or print it straight off. Okay. Just to finish off as well, which is then where I'll find out what breeds I was meant to choose on that breed table. If I go back into breeding, as a sort of almost back at the beginning really, having a look at herd PTAs will just list your herd individually according to PLI here. Something I found the other day, if you have got several different breeds, evaluation group here, you can actually group by that just to see the range of each one. Also, that other table will do the same. If I just lift that heading up and drop it into the blue area. Oh, that's why it was one brown Swiss animal. I knew I had brown Swiss somewhere. So that will then allow you to see how many animals you've got Holstein, brown Swiss on that one. Or even for all breeds, we can go to iReports and your herd list. Now this list is one of the top 3 for reports most used on Herd Companion. By me probably, because I do use this an awful lot, but it was interesting to see when we were looking at the analytics. So breed is on here. Now this is a numeric code, but again gives you an interesting breakdown if you're looking to see you know, how many different breeds we've got within the herd. So mostly black and whites here. You can see this is Angus, this is our one brown Swiss animal, and we've got a few blues going on. Before you do that, you can also undo, like so, just drop it back into the table wherever. We might want to exclude male animals, so you could make your filter just female, and then do your breed thing again. Actually gives you your beef animals as well. So there's lots you can do on here just to get a quick sort of sense of where you're at from the starting point. Any changes, incidentally, just as a general Herd Companion tip, if you put a filter in or you group by, you press anything basically, aside from the evaluation sliders that we did, anything else that you do, when you log out, it will all revert itself back to its original state. So you can leave that table, you know, in a different format entirely. Next time you log in, it'll all be back to where it was. Okay, we're all done for now then. Looks so brilliant. Okay, well I hope you found it useful. As I say, there will be other Herd Companion webinars coming up. I'll try and do one a month, so if you have a particular topic you'd like covered, do let me know. And with that, I'll say thank you very much for attending. Have a good day. Bye-bye for now.